we know it's cold out there. Halfway through the tour, we are going to stop by some heaters. So you guys will get to warm up for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to drag you back out into the cold penitentiary again for about another half hour. Let's switch that over. Colin going to 2? We'll get to that. Alright, so we're going to just hang out here for a bit. If you want to stay, you're welcome to do that. But I like to talk a little bit about this picture before we head on, because my guess is that most of you were saying, really, you've got something like 2 years of complete, well, not complete, but near solitary confinement. You're stealing a pig? Sounds excessive, doesn't it? So we're going to look here and see why. What they were doing with criminals prior to this penitentiary philosophy was essentially throwing them all in one big giant cell, and then housing them there until their trial. So this is pre-conviction, actually being guilty, and then they would give them their physical and public punishment. Some of the examples of the public punishments are here. They're things like whippings, brandings, stocks, and the pillory. So all this is being done very publicly. Everybody knows you're a criminal. Just imagine trying to get a job afterwards, right? You can see how this cycle would then probably repeat itself. Can't find work, steal something else, end up back in jail. So that's the kind of system that was going on. But what you notice. What can you do from that one spot?
See everything.
Yeah. Essentially, this was done for surveillance. So one guard, there will be more, but one guard could actually stand and be indoors. They weren't taking you out. This is original. Yeah. So you might start to ask, well, who then was given the second floor cell? The answer to that would be immigrants, minorities, and women. Yeah, ladies, this is a cell block that we would have been on if we were here in 1836. What's in this hat? That's a part of the art installation.
Say hi, Megan.
Hi.
We're actually going to get down cell block.
See the snow?
Yeah.
How many got a different story you know one guy? Right?
Well, the second stories, they would fill the first up, and then priority to have everything is just one floor. But Philadelphia was expanding so rapidly that before they even finished the original plans, the architect had gone back and just redesigned the remaining cell blocks. That's what this one does something different. Originally, it was designed on paper to be just 256 cells. That was never built. What was built was 450. So they put women up on the second floor. You saw that the cells were smaller. They were basically indoors. Then when the ventilation issues were resolved in cell block 2, remember how we were talking about how they had the smaller skylights? The women were moved over to cell block 2. They were there on cell block 2 until 1923. In 1923, the state actually built a facility just for women. It's Muncie, still in operation today, and they were all moved out. But there's that 10-year period of time when women were here, men were here, and the men were in a congregate system. So they're just walking around here. You know, they're going to work, they're going to the baseball field. The women were here too, but they're basically confined to cell block 2. Doesn't sound like life changed too much for them. They were always kept a little bit more social than the men. Women weren't learning a skill inside their cells so that they would have training and be able to get a job later. They were actually performing the necessary tasks of running a facility like this. They were doing things like the laundry. And when they moved the women from the gallery here of cell block 7 over to cell block 2, the laundry room moved with it. So the fact that there's a room kind of indicates that they're out of their cells, that they're actually kind of a little more social.
All the courtroom furniture had to put in furniture looked just like this. The furniture here in the semicircle, it's all reproduction, because when the federal government did leave Philadelphia in 1800, the government of Philadelphia removed all the furniture used by Congress, and they put back all the courtroom furniture. This continued to be Philadelphia's county courthouse to 1887. So everything's good was restored back the way it looked when the federal government got here in 1800. We had 16 states by then, Vermont, Kentucky, Tennessee, that all been admitted into the Union on an equal basis for the first 13 states. So the number of states began to expand for the first time here. The Constitution itself expanded here. Congress was meeting here in the Senate in March 1792. They were informed by the Secretary of State, Thomas Jefferson, that he had just certified the Bill of Rights. So the first 10 amendments officially became a part of the Constitution. The part most Americans take all too much for granted. It's under that Bill of Rights that you're guaranteed to speak your own truth. You can't be compelled by the government to testify against yourself. You have the right not to have your property searched or seized unless the government acts without warrant. You're guaranteed freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, right to assemble, right to easily discover and right to their arms. All those things, non-specific guaranteed under the Constitution, plainly added. And of course, one could just go on and on about all the important things that occurred here in a very important decade, but by far.
So it's a lot of work, a lot of multi-million-dollar projects to be done, sometime next summer. So this was called the State House of Pennsylvania years before the Marquis de Lafayette in 1824 may have first raised in this hall. We're going to be visiting 2 rooms on the first floor. We also have the opportunity to go upstairs to the second floor if we want. We'll just ask you, once we're inside, if you can turn off your cell phones and pagers, you can take photographs if you like. We'll just ask you to sit together. Defeated the French government had to leave Canada. Came at a very high cost. We know about those issues that some people would bring up by the mid-1760s, whereby there should be no taxation without representation. A series of taxes were placed on various products. The Stamp Act started things off. Legal documents, newspapers, playing cards and dice, you mentioned tea, lead, glass, paint, sugar, and molasses. Most of those taxes were repealed by the early 1770s, except for tax on tea. Now, I don't know if any of you are from the Boston area, but you know about some of the things that went on in that city. Boston Massacre of 1770, the Tea Party in December of 1773, and people were becoming really stirred up. People were kind of sitting on the fence. One of the things that helped to galvanize many colonists was a single pamphlet published right here in Philadelphia, several blocks away from here, from a failed corset maker from England who wrote Common Sense. Anybody know who he was? Thomas Paine, that's exactly right. In very simple language, Paine made some very compelling arguments for separating from Great Britain. One of his key points is, why should we have to be governed by a supposed divine appointed king and queen? Why can't we govern ourselves? And it sold thousands in the ensuing months. June of 1775, Virginia Richard Henry Lee from this table formally proposed independence, so they created a committee of 5. And from that team, which included Benjamin Franklin and John Adams, they deferred to the writing skills of Thomas Jefferson. Adams put it best. You, sir, are a Virginian, and a Virginian should be a bit out of this business. And while I am suspected of obnoxious and unpopular, you are very well thought of. And after all, sir, you can write 10 times better than I can. So in the summer of 1776, Jefferson had been visiting Philadelphia off and on past 10 years, decided that he wanted to escape the heat of the oncoming summer. So he rented 2 rooms from a local bricklayer in the outskirts of town. Suburban Philadelphia, 1776. It was about 7th Street, about 2 blocks from here. And that is where Thomas Jefferson began to write his Declaration of Independence. It took him a little bit over 2 weeks. And if you ever get a chance to read it, Jefferson does make some compelling arguments for separating from Great Britain. He has quartered large bodies of armed troops amongst us, Jefferson writes. He has cut cut off our trade, open markets to the world, impose taxes on us without our consent, just plunder our seas, ravage our coasts, burn our towns, and destroy the lives of our people. He originally also wrote, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable." Benjamin Franklin thought it would sound better if it simply stated, "We hold these truths to be self-evident."
Legislation that they passed, these senators were not elected by the people. They were appointed by state legislators and local governors, so they simply voted the wishes and concerns of the people who appointed them. Senators would not be elected by the general public until 1913. It took a constitutional amendment to change that. It was indeed the 17th Amendment to the Constitution, which finally allowed the public to elect their senators. The carpet that you see here is a reproduction of the carpet that was here when the Senate met. In the center, you will see the Great Seal with the stars, the stripes, the eagle, the olive branch, the arrows. Surrounding that Great Seal, a series of interlocking circles. Each one of those circles represents one of the original 13 states, and inside this place, that particular state's coat of arms. Right above is a small gallery where the public was allowed to come and watch the Senate in session. No. Okay. 3.
They worked hard and struggled to find something for themselves in their control. And although the streets are not actually paved with gold, hard work, persistence, and imagination were often rewarded. Soon the word got out. By the late 1960s, there was a new wave of engineering.
Okay, I give up.
Usually they don't come out late. The president can make treaties with other nations, but he has to be approved by the Senate first.
That I will faithfully execute the office of President
You could
of the
appoint
United States.
ambassadors, Supreme Court justices, but have to ask the Senate statement first.
And that I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend
President wouldn't just say, I want to make
the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
Congratulations.